It all began in August of 2005 in the boardrooms of dhiraagu, one of the national telecommunications service providers. The company executives held discussions on a way to earn the Maldives international recognition of a very different kind. They had a novel idea. The idea was an attempt at breaking the world scuba diving record. Such an attempt would, of course, be a unique way to make headlines for the Maldives, a country which had already earned the title as an earthly paradise, both under and over water.
The idea to break a world record was initiated by dhiraagu, and it was brought up during our discussions to find ways to improve tourism.
Dhiraagu approached the Maldives Tourism Promotion Board (MTPB) with their idea, and they embraced it wholeheartedly.
When dhiraagu approached us with the idea of having a world record dive attempt, we thought it's a great idea for a number of reasons. Firstly, we have to really emphasize that Maldives is a dive destination. In the wake of the recent product developments, there has been a stronger emphasis on Maldives as a wellness destination. So a mega event like this is going to send the message loud and clear to the world that Maldives is the dive destination of the world. In addition to that, dive record like this would be a national achievement, and that is also something that we have to really support. For those reasons, we agreed on doing this, provided that the industry supports us. For that reason, we met the industry. We consulted the industry experts, dive-based leaders and dive center dive experts, and all of them really loved the idea, and we thought, well, let's go ahead and do it.
So, representatives of the dive schools and bases were invited for a meeting, and the idea was floated to them, and they too loved it. They also vowed their full support in planning and organizing the event. The hurdle that remained was the main sponsorship of the event, which dhiraagu took up. From that point, the rest, as they say, was history. The task at hand was to break the existing world record for most people scuba diving simultaneously at one location, 722, a record set in February of 2005 at the Koh Tao Underwater Festival in Thailand. The tourism industry was invited to join in, and numerous resorts, safari vessels and dive centers confirmed their participation and support towards organizing the event. The team had to choose a suitable dive site. They decided the best venue would be Sunlight Thila in Malé Atoll. It was in close proximity to most of the resorts and to the capital Malé. Sunlight Thila had a sandy bed with minimal rocks, and the depth was between 12 and 22 meters, which was also ideal. They had to decide on a target. The organizers decided to aim for 1,000 simultaneous divers. That would of course be enough participants, even if some of them could not make it due to unavoidable circumstances. The final question, of course, was when to hold the event. After conferring with experts who looked at tides, currents and seasonal weather patterns, the team agreed to hold the event on the morning of the 25th of February 2006. The team had some tough decisions to make: site management, transport and other logistics, management of the participants, safety and the after-event party all had to be planned in detail. By the time the new calendar year of 2006 arrived, the project was taking shape. The event had been given the name Dive Maldives World Record Attempt 2006. The marketing team had produced their ads, t-shirts, banners and posters, and were busy giving interviews to ensure maximum exposure. The results were almost immediate. Global news networks and channels, including National Geographic, Asian Diver and others, committed themselves to the project. Meanwhile, the organizing team began fine-tuning their plan. Attention to minor details, in particular that of safety, was a key priority. Advance teams were sent to the site, and carefully they prepared the area for the coming event. Mooring buoys had to be placed for each participating vessel. In the finest of Maldivian traditions, it had to be done in an environment-friendly manner. Preparations went ahead very smoothly, thanks to the diligence and creativity of the experts. Finally, the team was sure that everything was ready. The morning of Saturday, 25th of February 2006, was a typically Maldivian one. There was sunshine and the currents and waves were ideal, just as the expert team had predicted months in advance. The organizers began early. They were busy loading boat after boat of supplies to dispatch to the dive site. The base vessel was anchored at the entrance of the site. The participating boats, each with an average of 19 divers,
So how many spare do you have?
began arriving from 900 hours, many from the outer atolls. Each of the 50 participating boats was required to report and register with the base vessel, where a trained administrator would board the vessel to oversee all necessary paperwork for accreditation of the record. The boats would then steer towards the allocated buoy to be moored. All boats within the secured dive area had to switch off engines from 10:30 till the end of the dive. The media too had their own boat. They were not going to miss any of the action. One of the central concerns of the team was of course the safety of the divers. They had to make sure that there were no incidents or mishaps. After all, nearly 1,000 people were going to dive simultaneously at the same location. The safety plan included 2 specialized doctors and 4 nurses on site. There was an ambulance on standby at the dive site and an ambulance at jetty number 1 in Malé ready for action. The government hospital in Malé, IGMH, was ready, as was the Bandos Medical Center with its state-of-the-art decompression chambers.
During the world record dive attempt, our medical facility, including the chamber, was on a standby.
Lifeguards from the German Red Cross and the Villa Water Sports Center were stationed strategically throughout the dive site. The lifeguards had to use jet-powered water scooters. The NSS Coast Guard was also on hand to manage the movement of the boats. They too were ready to spring into action should the need arise. Anyone who witnessed the spectacle on Sunlight Tiller that morning may be forgiven for thinking that the record attempt had already been successfully concluded. Such was the party atmosphere that morning. The final preparations were nearly complete when the team suddenly realized that they had an unexpected guest on the tiller. His Excellency Mamoon Abdul Qayyum, President of the Maldives, had paid a surprise visit to Sunlight Tiller. He too was not going to miss out on the fun, invitation or not. The President joined the chief guests for the event, pioneer local diver Mr. Sarudar Dommaniko and the Minister of Transport and Communications Mr. Mohammad Saeed on board the spectators vessel moored just outside the dive area. Others on board included the Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation Dr. Mahmoud Shaugi and the Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Ahmad Shahid and other invitees. Finally, the organizers were satisfied that everything was ready and they gave the go-ahead to start. There were just 4 minutes to the scheduled start at 1100 hours. With the first signal, one blast of the horn by the Chief Executive of Dhiraagu, Mr. Ismail Wahid, and the waving of the dhiraagu flag by the company's Head of Finance, Mr. David Haran, the divers jumped into the water. With the second signal, they dived in. The dive was planned for 20 minutes, 5 minutes for the descent, 10 minutes bottom time, and 5 minutes for the ascent. Within seconds, all the participating divers had dived under.
Ready? Yep.
And there was pin-drop silence on the surface. The Maldives World Record dive attempt was well and truly underway. When the divers re-emerged, the organizers were carefully counting the number of divers and of course checking whether they were okay. Once all the divers were accounted for on each and every boat, the party began. The sheer pride and satisfaction of having participated in such a historic event was enough for the divers. Accompanied by the beat of the Boduberu, the Dhonis all headed for the picnic island of Kudabandos, where the official after-event party awaited them. They had come from all corners of the globe. Race, color, and religion did not matter. They were young and old. In fact, the youngest participant was only 13, and the oldest was 73.
The oldest one and the youngest one.
There was also a cabinet minister among the divers. Soon, the divers were enjoying the festivities, but eagerly awaiting the formal announcement of the dive count. The organizers were confident that they had enough. The celebrations went on for hours, and why not? The Maldives had a new world record. All that was needed was to get this record accredited by Guinness. Each participant was given a certificate. They were part of a world record. The divers also joined in for a historic group photo.
Photo session. There at the banner, yes. All the divers, please.
Speaking at the function held in Malé just 2 days after the event, the Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation congratulated the organizers on their effort and said that the record should, from now on, remain in the Maldives. At the same function held to celebrate the achievement, the President summed it up very sweetly.
I don't believe that the Maldives has merely broken the world diving record. On Saturday, at Sunlight Tilla in Malé Atoll, the world diving record was well and truly smashed to smithereens.
After a few months, the waiting was over and the record was accredited and confirmed for inclusion in the Guinness Book of World Records. The Maldives was the world record holder for most people scuba diving simultaneously. Guinness accredited the number to be 958.